The world of the bold and the beautiful is bracing for one of its most devastating and high-stakes arcs yet, with the Forrester and Hayes families about to be tested in ways that could permanently alter their dynamics. What begins as Taylor Hayes stepping away from Los Angeles to protect her fragile emotional state soon spirals into a far-reaching crisis that destabilizes not only her personal relationships, but also the very foundation of Forrester Creations and its legacy. Her temporary absence creates a vacuum, a chasm that becomes both a painful void and a dangerous opportunity for those who remain behind to either rise to the challenge or crumble under pressure. And when Taylor finally does return, she brings with her a secret powerful enough to detonate every promise Ridge Forrester has just made, threatening to collapse the fragile alliances and newfound clarity he has been clinging to. Taylor's departure is born out of necessity. Weary, broken by repeated disappointments, and emotionally drained from carrying the burden of Ridge's waffling affections and her family's turbulence, she chooses to step away. It is not abandonment, but survival. Los Angeles, with its endless echoes of betrayal, lies, and lost chances, has suffocated her. She leaves with little warning, retreating into solitude, desperate for perspective and healing. For her children and loved ones, her absence is immediately felt, a jagged wound in a family already torn by conflict. For Steffy Forrester, it is more than heartbreak, it is a transfer of responsibility. Steffy, who has long been the emotional center of her family, now finds herself thrust into a role far greater than mediator. She becomes the commander-in-chief of the Forrester empire, balancing her roles as mother, executive, and now strategic leader of the household. Forrester Creations is under siege not just from external rivals but from internal fractures and public scrutiny. Fashion media vultures hover, dissecting every rumor of scandal, every delay in the Paris wedding, every whispered hint of division between Ridge, Brooke, and Taylor. Investors are jittery, the brand's reputation is hanging by a thread, and the family's every move is scrutinized under a merciless spotlight. Steffy, tough and unyielding, pulls double duty. She steers press conferences, releases carefully crafted statements, and rallies the boardroom while simultaneously holding her household together. Her marriage to Finn remains fragile after revelations of Lee's deception, Luna's entanglements, and Finn's brush with betrayal. But Steffy digs deep, using her strength not only to keep her family intact, but also to preserve the name her grandfather built. But while Steffy fights her battles in Los Angeles, far away Taylor is suddenly thrust into one of her own. In her retreat for clarity, she suffers an unexpected medical crisis, a collapse that leaves her hospitalized, vulnerable, and reconsidering everything. The episode is jarring not just for Taylor, but for Ridge, who receives the news like a thunderbolt. He rushes to her side, his guilt flooding back in waves. Ridge has failed Taylor before, countless times, but this time feels different. As he watches her lying weak and frail, his old instincts awaken. His heart wrenches with regret, with the recognition that despite everything, he has never fully protected her, never fully chosen her, never fully given her the stability she deserved. For Ridge, this becomes a journey of penance. He pours himself into supporting Taylor through her crisis, attending every appointment, holding her hand through procedures, and making promises, so many promises that once she returns to Los Angeles, things will be different. He tells her he's done with the games. He tells her that Brooke is in his past. He tells her that she, Taylor, is his future. And for a time, it feels true. Taylor recovers, slowly but surely, regaining her strength and composure. The experience softens her edges but sharpens her clarity. She begins to see her relationships with Ridge, her children, and even herself with new eyes. The woman who left Los Angeles broken returns with a new strength, but also with something else, a secret. And this secret is not just personal. It is a revelation so potent that it threatens to unravel every pledge Ridge has made in his path toward redemption. What is clear is that during her time away, Taylor discovered something tied to Ridge's past, perhaps linked to Brooke, or even a hidden detail that reframes recent events. Maybe it is a letter, a confession, a recording, or an encounter that shines a brutal light on the lies still coursing through Ridge's world. Perhaps it is medical, something about her condition that will reshape her future. Or perhaps it is emotional, tied to a decision she made while away that could explode everything Ridge has sworn to uphold. Whatever it is, Taylor carries it home like a blade hidden in her heart, and the moment it surfaces, it threatens to cut through the fragile ties holding the family together. Back in Los Angeles, Steffy's careful strategy begins to falter under the weight of expectation. Shareholders, though impressed with her leadership, begin to demand results that no spin can deliver. Rumors of Taylor's health crisis begin to trickle into the press, sparking questions about the family's stability and Ridge's capacity to lead with clarity. Brooke, sensing Ridge's renewed closeness with Taylor, grows suspicious and agitated, unwilling to surrender ground. Thomas, already volatile, views his mother's absence and health scare as fresh evidence of Brooke's toxic influence. He warns Ridge again and again to sever ties completely or risk losing everything. And Eric, though proud of Steffy's poise, grows weary of the endless chaos his family cannot seem to escape. When Taylor finally reappears in Los Angeles, the family gathers in relief, but the relief is short-lived. The joy of her return collides with the devastating weight of the secret she has carried back. Ridge greets her with tenderness, with vows that this time will be different, that he is hers and only hers. But Taylor's eyes tell another story, because the truth she now holds will not only test Ridge's promises, but will also expose whether his devotion is genuine or just another fragile illusion. The reunion is bittersweet, layered with tension and anticipation, because everyone knows that secrets never stay buried on the bold and the beautiful. When Taylor reveals what she knows, it won't just shatter Ridge's vows, it could dismantle the entire foundation of trust the Forresters have fought so hard to rebuild. As the pieces move into place, one thing is certain: Taylor's absence was not an escape, but the beginning of an earthquake. Steffy may have held the line in her mother's absence, Ridge may have sworn a dozen new promises, and the Forresters may have fought to keep their empire intact. But when Taylor speaks her truth, every alliance, every relationship, every plan will be tested, and the fallout will leave nothing untouched. Would you like me to push Taylor's secret in the next continuation towards something personal about Ridge and Brooke in Italy, or something medical that Taylor discovered about herself? Both directions could create maximum drama, but the ripple effects will differ. Taylor's return to Los Angeles does not come quietly. The Forrester family gathers at the mansion, relieved to see her looking healthier after the medical scare that nearly claimed her life. Steffy hugs her tightly, Ridge lingers with a guilt-ridden smile, and even Thomas allows himself a rare moment of vulnerability, whispering that he was afraid he'd never see her again. For a brief moment, the family breathes. But peace never lasts in this world, and Taylor's eyes betray her. Behind the warmth of reunion lies a secret she has carried across continents, and now that she is home, it threatens to detonate every fragile bond. Ridge wastes no time making his promises again. He tells Taylor he's here now, that her health scare opened his eyes, that he won't let her face another storm alone. He repeats his vow to keep Brooke in the past, that their story has been written and closed. He says he only wants to focus on Taylor, on their family, on building something that will last. His words are rehearsed but earnest, dripping with regret and the desperate need to convince not just Taylor but himself. Taylor listens quietly, nodding, holding his hand, but she does not respond with the same certainty. The silence unsettles Ridge. Steffy notices, Thomas notices, and even Eric senses a tremor in the air. Taylor thanks Ridge for standing by her while she was gone, for showing up at her bedside. But when he calls her the only woman I want, her expression hardens. Later, alone with Steffy, Taylor confesses that while she was recovering abroad, she uncovered something that could collapse Ridge's shiny, new promises. Steffy, already carrying the weight of Forrester creations and her fractured home life, begs her mother to be careful. "We just got you back," she pleads. "Don't throw us into another war with Dad." But Taylor shakes her head. "The truth will do that on its own," she whispers. That truth comes crashing in days later. During her recovery, Taylor discovered correspondence Ridge had sent Brooke. Letters and late-night calls, messages Ridge never confessed to. One message, dated after he told Taylor he was recommitted to her, was not ambiguous. It was a confession of love. He told Brooke that saving her life in Italy reminded him of what they once had, and that he would always belong to her in some way. Worse, Taylor learned that Brooke responded, encouraging him to be honest with himself. It wasn't a goodbye, it was an invitation. And Ridge hid it all. Taylor presents the evidence in front of Ridge, Brooke, and Steffy in a tense showdown at the Forrester mansion. She lays the letters and recordings on the table, her voice steady but her hands trembling. "You swore to me you were finished with Brooke," Taylor says, her eyes burning into Ridge. "You held my hand while I fought for my life, and all the while you were still writing to her. You promised me a future, Ridge, but you were building another lie." Ridge stumbles for words, trying to frame it as a moment of weakness, insisting it didn't mean he was betraying Taylor. Brooke, cornered, tries to downplay it too, saying Ridge was only expressing gratitude, not rekindling old flames. But the evidence speaks for itself. Steffy turns on her father, livid that he could sabotage his own redemption at the moment Taylor needed him most. Thomas explodes, accusing Brooke of once again worming her way into their family's foundation. Eric watches from the sidelines, devastated but unsurprised. History repeats itself, he mutters, shaking his head, knowing the Forrester name will once again be dragged through scandal. For Taylor, the betrayal is deeper than ever. She left Los Angeles to heal, and while she nearly died, Ridge was still tethered to Brooke. She realizes now that no amount of vows or near-death epiphanies can sever the bond between Ridge and Brooke. Her strength in returning was meant to bring closure, but instead, it brings fire. She tells Ridge that she cannot live her life in the shadow of a woman he will never let go. Steffy steps in, seizing control again, but this time her role as commander is personal as well as professional. She knows the media is already sniffing at scandal, and this revelation will only feed their hunger. The delay of Thomas and Paris's wedding, Luna's dangerous secrets, and now Ridge being exposed as a man torn between two women again, it is all a disaster waiting to erupt. Steffy orders everyone to keep the letters private, but Thomas refuses, threatening to leak them himself to prove Brooke's poisonous influence. Meanwhile, Brooke, humiliated but unrepentant, doubles down. In a private moment with Katie, she admits she still loves Ridge and always will. Katie warns her that Taylor isn't the same woman she used to, bet this time Taylor isn't going to forgive and retreat. This time, she's going to fight back. And Brooke is right to worrying. Because Taylor's time away not only gave her clarity, it gave her resolve. The medical crisis forced her to reassess her life, and she refuses to be collateral damage anymore. She confides to Steffy that she has already made arrangements to leave Forrester behind for good if Ridge doesn't finally sever ties with Brooke once and for all. But even Steffy fears that this ultimatum won't hold, that Ridge will once again choose Brooke, destroying her mother in the process. As the pressure mounts, the fallout spreads. Forrester Creations teeters on the edge of a PR nightmare. Shareholders demand answers, Ridge struggles to maintain control, and Eric warns that another public scandal could sink them for good. Steffy is forced into damage control once again, working day and night to shield the company, while her family tears itself apart behind closed doors. But Taylor's secret no expositus irreversible. Ridge's betrayal is undeniable, and Brooke's place in his heart is inescapable. The stage is set for another catastrophic implosion, one that could destroy not just Ridge and Taylor's future, but the entire Forrester family's credibility. Because this time, Taylor isn't walking away. This time, she's ready to fight.